Wake Up Radio Network.
A rational voice in a world of conspiracy. Jim Duke Perspective.
My website is jimdukeperspective.com, and you can find my articles there. You can connect with us there, and the archives of podcasts are there. I have a podcast page, but you can listen to us on any of your favorite apps or players. Just subscribe to us so you don't miss an episode. And we're on every week, and sometimes a couple of times a week as we feel the need to update something or put a special edition in or something. I thank everybody for listening and for sharing this information. I urge you to share it more. And we talk about sometimes the current issues, sometimes topics. But we're going to look at, well, is it fair or is it safe to talk about the royal family, Darren? I mean, they're people, right?
Well, if
no, wait, just I mean,
supposedly.
I mean,
but they're not. They're fully human. Who knows? That's a whole other subject. Technically, yes. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Technically, they're okay. They're of the humanoid species that are up for grabs for talk. Now, a difference between talking about them and talking about your Aunt Nilly or something. Are we going to come on this podcast and talk about Aunt Nilly? That may be, right? If she does some kind of conspiracy idiocy, right?
Possible.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, we're not going to talk about what her favorite cooking or, I was accused of gossip because I brought some of this stuff up once. Somebody said, oh, isn't that gossip? Three fingers are pointing back at you, Jim. I hate cliches. Yeah, and there's 10 pointing at you right now as I'm calling you an idiot. No, people that say that kind of stuff are overly pious about themselves. Right. I do no wrong, and I'm going to point my finger at you. Could that be gossip talk? If that's the case, don't watch the news, because then that's what the news is. It's reporting things going on, which is gossip, technically. Right?
Well, yeah, gossip can fall right in the line with being a busybody. Like, look at 1 Peter 4:15. God categorizes being a busybody gossip as along the lines with evildoer, murderer, and the thief. Mm-hmm. 1 Peter 4:15. Anyway,
well, mostly it's slanderous against somebody or like whispers against somebody. So if we talk about the royal family and King Charles, are we technically gossiping?
No, it could be. Let's see. No, because they could be listening too.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Technically, so could be talking to them.
Good point. All right.
We're assuming they're a listening audience, part of them. So.
Well, we know at one time the Rothschilds were listening, so why not the royal family?
Really.
I had hits from. I used to get the geographics of specifically where the listeners were listening from, and I got a hit of 100 listens in the square city of London.
Wow!
Now, who are the 100 people that listen to me in the square city of London?
There's something called the city
the Rothschilds, who?
That's amazing. There's the city of London too. Not just. I don't mean London itself, but the city of London. That's of.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's
the square mile. It was dab in the city of London, which is a city-state. It's not part of London, just like the Vatican's not part of Rome and or not part of the continent, and Washington, D.C. is technically not part of the United States. They're city-states. But I got hits directly in the city of London. Like 100 people, 100 listens. Yeah. It's like, okay.
And what were you just discussing right before that? That was about...
probably the banks, the world banks and the Jesuits and such. But anyway, the royal family are different. They're supposed to be hands off because they're British royalty. They're monarchs, and dignitaries. They're dignified, right? So, ta-ta, and let's get some tea, and,
Yep.
You don't say, hey, let's go out and get a beer.
Yeah, right, of course.
No, we drink tea.
Yep.
I'm sure they don't, because they have magic mushrooms in the garden. Why not?
Yep. And our fine...
They're doing mushrooms.
Yep.
By the way, do you realize that? They found magic mushrooms growing in the Queen Elizabeth's garden at Buckingham Palace. And they tried to paw it off. They said, oh, yeah, all sorts of fungus grow here. Just happens to be the psychedelic mushroom type that happened to grow up in this area. But we can assure you it's not ending up on the menu, they said. You know, they're dignitaries. But see, here's what it is. Okay, so the royal family, we're talking about them. Now, if they didn't want to be in the public eye, they wouldn't be who they are. They thrive on getting the public attention. If we just basically ignore the royal family, not watched them on TV when they had their parades, or not watched them on TV when they had their special royal weddings, and everything that happens to them in America, we publicize the same thing, and we put them on all day long for any funeral or any wedding or any debate or like feud that the family may have. They're on the TV here. So don't tell me they're not part of our public life. So if they're going to be public and they want to be public and they want to be known as dignitaries and they want to be regarded as subjects of high royalty, well, then I guess we could take stabs at them.
They should go on the Family Feud.
Yeah.
Game show.
What? The royal, the Buckinghams, the Windsors against the...
Let's see. We could have, what we could do is have all those hierarchies of.
How about the Windsors against the Rothschilds?
Yes, put them against each other and have them battle out, and hopefully they can
Family Feud.
fight. Yeah.
Over here, we got the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
Jacob Rothschild. Over, and on this side, we have the royal families. Queen Elizabeth, why don't you introduce your family? To my right is the prestigious King Charles. To his right, and to the left of Princess Kate is my son, Prince Harry.
Oh, yeah, really. No. I could come up with some funny questions, but I won't because it won't be appropriate. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But we're gonna talk about it because something came up in the news. There was controversy over this unveiling of this portrait that was offered to King Charles, and he unveiled it, and it ended up to be this red splotch of stuff with a picture of him in his royal garb, red royal garb, blending right in with the background. And
Wow.
there was a lot of question about it because it's like, is this abstract? Is this insultive?
You got to ask the question, why was it red, too? I'm sure there was symbology with that,
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what some have come up with. From Need to Know, G. Edward Griffin, he quoted some things from the InfoWars media here. And what this article said was, it's a satanic-looking painting of King Charles as an unusual choice because the royal monarchy is already struggling to survive, and Charles has been diagnosed with unspecified cancer. Now that's too bad, but and after it's been revealed about Prince Charles, he was Prince Charles, Prince. What's the other Prince? What's the other prince? The one that was caught up in the pedophile ring.
Prince William. Let's see, Prince Andrew.
Yeah,
Prince,
maybe one of them. Yeah, and he was caught there. He had the controversy of being wrapped up in the Epstein thing, and it's now King Charles. It's revealed that he had a close personal friendship with Jimmy Savile, the prolific pedophile. And they're wondering if he had ties with it. Now you could say, well, that has nothing. Somebody else's business has nothing to do with the person that hangs with him and is close friends with them. But they do say you're lumped into your company, who you keep company with. So
that's true. In fact, there's scripture for that. You become who you associate with.
That's right. But he's at the forefront of the World Economic Forum. He launched the Great Reset Plan in 2020 in response to the COVID pandemic. But this is Charles that launched that accordingly to this. So the royal family has their hands in America. They have their hands in Europe. They have their hands in Canada, all British. I guess they have a lot of pull. And he urges the empowerment of globalist elitists with trillions of dollars of fundings going to them. And, and he's heading the threat of global warming, threatening a military campaign against it.
Wow.
Now, this portrait that's in pink and red and, dark red colors, it's been compared as him being covered like in blood in the foreground with his suit, and in the background like burning in hell. That's what they're saying. And what's ironic is people I don't know who has time to do all this stuff, decipher pictures. Like, would you think of flipping the picture upside down or mirroring it or looking for these little hints within do you have time for that? I don't.
No, absolutely not
okay.
now.
Well, there's
no.
people that do. And the painting has been seen mirrored. If you put it side by side with itself, in the middle, it shows a Baphomet type of demonic image.
Wow.
And they're
I shouldn't
trying
be
to say
surprised.
that means something. But who would have thought that you had to mirror it to find that? I don't know.
So it was actually backwards and then upside down?
No. It's mirrored, like put them side by side.
Oh, okay. Just so backwards.
Side,
then. Right.
Not even backwards, just side by side. So if you put the image side by side next to each other, two images touching each other, the middle forms a Baphomet.
I see what you're saying.
Wow. Just by the array of colors. And then this article says this, and I don't know. So he has some kind of cancer and a couple years to live. And Princess Kate has been missing since last year with speculation about what happened to her.
I heard about that.
Missing last year because I have another article here. Let me find it. Where is it? That says Prince William gave an update on her health after her cancer treatment. She's been in hiding because she's going through cancer treatment, not because she disappeared. And this said just as soon as a couple months ago, she reported her status. So she hasn't been totally missing, unless it wasn't her that reported her status. I don't know. Let me see. Maybe it was somebody else. The princess, it says she'll return soon to her duties. But that's other people reporting her. You remember when Queen Elizabeth died and they said, oh, there was rumor she was dead for years. They were just waiting for the right time to blow the information and reveal that the monarchy didn't have a queen or didn't have the queen. Remember that when she died?
Right.
They tried to say she died a year ago, and they just. I mean, what if this is the same type of thing?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
She died, and they're just saying she went for cancer. I mean, now we're speculating, now we're gossiping. So, but we're just trying to. This is a public family. They want to be in the public, so they are in the public. Let's see. I guess they're just trying to keep privacy and you got to remember there's a falling out between the princess, and the king and the queen. There was a falling out. They have a deranged, what's it called? Severed family there, estranged family. They are strange too.
What they should do is make it a sitcom, a Hollywood sitcom.
Imagine a reality show.
Yeah,
the
people
Royals,
would watch that.
like the Ozzy, the Osbournes.
Yep.
The Royals.
The Royals. Yeah.
King, would you get my tea, please? Oh, shove your tea, your bloody tea. You
that would
harlot.
do good, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They need the money though.
Let's throw some garbage over the royal fence into the next neighbor's yard. Oh, come on, Ozzy, stop it. I mean, King Charles, stop with your shenanigans.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Don't worry, it's royal garbage.
Would you watch that show or no?
Oh yeah,
Everybody would. Oh.
The Royals.
Right to them.
Like
Give them that idea,
Yeah,
tell them you want some
they throw
proceeds.
garbage. And their garbage, there's people at the other end collecting it because their garbage is probably worth them more than our houses.
I know it.
So,
Nice.
and then the family had not only a friendship with Jimmy Savile, a noted pedophile, who counseled Diana during her troubled marriage, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
There's been possible accusations or allusions to King Charles's possible involvement in Diana's death. Now, I don't know if
some say she might not even be dead. That could have been a fake death.
I don't know. Where is she? Why would she? Maybe they gave her get away from the family, and no, they can't. They can't risk her being out there like that.
Well, because she wasn't going along with their crazy ways,
Right. Well, she was finding them out and was getting, starting to whistle blow, but they wouldn't leave her go.
Yeah,
Think they're going to let her live for that? She's got the secrets.
Doesn't seem like it,
According to Princess Diana's friend, Christine Fitzgerald, Diana's nickname for the Windsors was the Reptiles because she said they're not human. Remember you?
Now oh, wow. That's what I'm talking about.
This is the princess.
Yeah,
Princess Diana. I remember she used to say they're not human. They're not normal.
Yeah.
She called them reptiles.
Yeah, there's too much circumstantial evidence to point to something other than fully human entities walking this earth besides like you and I who are fully human. Yeah.
But they could be traced back because they got bloodlines. Are you going to say the Vikings were not human either?
Well, I'm not saying the Vikings. No, I'm just saying
their family line traced back to the Vikings. Did you know that? That's where they come from. Did you know?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the royal family they trace their bloodlines. They go right back to the Babylon. They claim they come, but they come from the line of Vikings. That's what they were.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe
the
Vikings
royal family.
Keep in mind, Cain is not in the lineage of Adam, so which is weird because people are making a case.
He fell. He. Yeah, but they're saying there's a Cain and it's a different Cain and it's the result of Eve having sex with Satan. That's
right, because the word beguile means to know on an intimate sexual level.
That's a Gnostic interpretation. That's a Gnostic Lilith and all this stuff. It has to play where Lilith was the actual wife of Adam and Eve was the second wife and Eve gave sex to That's a Gnostic version of the gospel.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. Yes. Yeah, but when the gospel, of the Bible and Genesis 1, in the beginning God, it's Genesis I forgot the exact paragraph, but when God discusses, in the garden, because there was a debate between the late Zen Garcia and the late Rob Skiba verse.
Oh yeah,
another.
I remember you mentioned. I don't believe them, and if they say that this is other than what the gospel says, like Cain was a different line, was a Nephilim, I don't agree with them. I'm sorry, but I didn't have any respect for Rob Skiba after he challenged me, so I don't even want to hear about his research.
They go by the Bible alone.
I know. Everybody does. Everybody that has a contradictory thing can say, I got it from the Bible, and they prove it, and they win their case because you can't really debate how they're presenting it and what they're saying. I don't think that Cain is an offspring of Satan. I'm sorry. I don't think that. I don't think he's a Nephilim. I think he was an offspring of Adam and Eve because they had his children. He was a brother of Abel, and he dismissed his brother, so God put him aside and marked him. It's as simple as that, really. But did he get cursed and his offspring got cursed? Probably. Could they be the line that led to the Vikings? Possible. I mean, you got to remember everything severed at that point, and then Noah came on the scene, and then everything was destroyed and it started over again. So there was all that offspring would have had to come from Noah. So do you believe
that there are actually reptile-type entities walking the earth among us?
I don't want to get into David Icke stuff right now. It's a long discussion that's outside the realm of what we're talking about here. Okay?
Right.
And if you want to stay tuned for any more of that, please tune in to davidike.com, and he will share all his information with you. Okay, so, but I will say this, that when Vladimir Putin had a ceremony with Queen Elizabeth, she said something to him, and he saw something that struck him, and he backed away. And he wouldn't walk her down the stairs, and they gave him a lot of grief. And he says, I'm not going to walk with that reptilian. He said it too. And his spokesperson, who was questioned what he meant by that, because they said, yeah, it was a tongue-in-cheek, his disgust with the royal family, his dispute with the royal family. He was like, you brood of vipers. He was kind of using it tongue-in-cheek. Oh, that reptilian. He was, shrug, right? And the spokesperson said, no, there's no Russian term for reptilian besides what it means. It means a scaly creature, not human. And he says, no, he was referring to her being some kind of reptile.
Wow.
So I will say this, despite David Icke's research, which I don't really get into, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if the reptilian existing on Earth and the shapeshifters. Let's say this, if somebody asks me, you don't believe there's reptilians? You don't believe there's shapeshifters? I'm going to say it like this. I never seen one, and I can't go by video anomalies to prove it. If somebody can show a video of undisputable reptilians moving or shape-shifting, then and prove that it's not CGI, because they could do a lot with CGI.
I agree with you.
I saw CGI a commercial, and it was Scarlett Johansson talking about this revival cream or something, and it wasn't. It sounded like her, and it looked like her, and it was her, but the lips were like, you could tell it wasn't really her saying it. And then they showed Sylvester Stallone, and you'd swear he's sitting there talking about this thing, but he was using scientific words, and I know that's not Sylvester Stallone.
Right,
and you could see his lips kind of moving. I mean, you could either say one of two things. One is reptilian, and his lips were shaping and moving, or two, AI created that ad and used their images and their voicing. Yep. And we got to be careful with that. Now,
a lot of fakery out there.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if somebody wants to go to that world of reptilian, be my guest, but I just don't know about it, and I don't entertain it here because I don't know about it.
There's one verse in John chapter 8, verse 44. The Lord Jesus says, you are of your father, the devil. The word of in Greek always refers to offspring or immediate progenitor, not some hypothetical, allegorical, you're a devil. It means offspring or immediate progenitor. Therefore, that lends credibility to the notion that there are reptilian hybrids among us, because the Lord Jesus says it. So, but like I said, it's up in the air right now. It's a whole other subject. We'll just leave that for now, if you want.
Okay, and this message was brought to you by Darren. Thank you. All right, so the monarch butterfly sits on Charles' shoulders, and some critics suggest that this is a reference to Project Monarch. And if we know see, that one I can substantiate. It doesn't have, I don't have to go into reptilian land. The monarch.
Are you sure it's not a reptilian butterfly?
Yeah, I know, maybe. The monarch butterfly is a symbol for Project Monarch, which is it's an offshoot of MK Ultra. MK Ultra shut down in 1973. It was disclosed in 1975, I believe. They actually have documents. MK Ultra was a real experiment of real human victims and experiments of mind control, severing their mind, traumatizing their mind. And they used military personnel. They used bums on the street. They used prostitutes, and they used some victims in beaches and such. And it got shut down. Of course, they're not going to waste their money and shut down the project. They're just going to morph it into something else, in which we got Project Monarch, which was much more sophisticated. It didn't have to use diodes and all this stuff, electromagnetics and electrocutions. They could use drugs. They could use just torture and things like that. And and split the mind through psychology. And it became much, and it's suspected that many of the elites, the people that are in the hybrid positions of the world, of politics, of business, of government, of royals, are basically victims, or I don't want to say victims because it's in their family. They're projects of these experiments, these trauma-based things that most of the time, like the Illuminati, do it to their families. We had several accounts of that. I interviewed Doc Marquis at one time. Some people don't prefer him, but he was a very nice guy. We talked the Bible for an hour afterwards, and but nonetheless, he said he was one of the ones under that trauma of Illuminati grooming. I know I have a friend, a personal friend, who talked to me about an hour about her experiments in Canada, her experiences with her father giving her shock treatment, and what her view of it was, and what they do is with their children, their 3-year-old children and such. They shock them. They try to torment them to endure. To them, it's a prestigious position to endure all consequences, to be able to survive this world, and anything that comes at them, they put them through these shock things and make them immune to any kind of, bad things. Some of them make them drink their own urine and eat their own feces so that they're not disgusted by anything. And then they put them in power. So, I don't know.
Wow. They're trying to propagate the myth that, drinking your urine is supposed to be healthy. I've been researching that. I'm like, no way.
Well, actually, a doctor had told me that to survive, people do that, because even though the urine spits out the waste, if you drink it, you still will get enough of a water property that comes out to recycle and replenish yourself in an emergency. And there are vitamins in it.
Wow. Okay.
And your body discards the waste again. So it's like recyclable.
Right. I heard also
That's
they're good for
survival
snake bites.
Yeah.
Okay, for snake bites too. Just it'll neutralize the venom. So.
Yeah. But I don't find myself participating in any of my urine drinking anytime
me
soon.
neither.
And for me to do it for survival, you've got to make sure there's absolutely nothing else around, and that there is no hope of survival.
Right.
And then maybe I would think about it.
I thought of something. If you're out and you need to preserve your moisture, breathe through your nose, because that's where, when you breathe through your mouth, that's where most of your moisture escapes when you're breathing, like in the wintertime. I watch these survival shows, and these guys are supposedly survival experts, and they're out in the heat, and they have their mouth open. They're breathing through their mouth. It's breathe through your nose, people, if you have to conserve water. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to try it, but still.
And that was a service tip from Darren.
Also, if you have to tread water, breathe from the top portion of your lungs, not the lower portion. Be like a life preserver.
This public service announcement was given by Darren. Thank you, Darren. Okay.
You get off like a tangent here.
Oh, anyway. My gosh. You're Tangent City tonight.
I know it.
All right. Back to Charles. So Charles had been complicit in pushing the UN global warming scam. And he's talking about sustainable solutions now. This is mimicking the United Nations Sustainable Development, which says that we can't survive if we don't start neutralizing the world and reining in on the raw resources and having regulations and getting rid of some of those evil CO2 expulsions, which is basically human beings. Get rid of them. We don't need them. And these guys actually, one of the princes, they all sound the same to me after a while. Prince Richard, no, I forget the one, that said that if I come back, I wish to come back as a disease, a virus, and annihilate most of the world. I mean, that's what these people really think. I got to start quoting these things down. Now, here's one more tidbit about Charles. One thing, okay, so I mentioned they come from the line of Vikings, right?
Yes.
Do you know who passes through the line of Vikings, who the Windsor family goes back to?
I'll bet Trump.
Actually, Trump's in the same line. So is Angela Jolie.
Oh, yes.
Angelina Jolie, and so is Brad Pitt. They're
Brad Pitt.
all part of that same line. They're just not royals. They're not. They didn't end up in the royal family. The Bushes. They all go back to the descendant of Vlad the Impaler. Yes, Charles is a descendant of Dracula.
Wow.
So maybe there is truth to this reptilian thing. Vlad the
Who knows?
Impaler was this middle century warrior who was known for taking his victims and stabbing them and flailing them up on stakes and taking all their blood out.
Wow.
Emptying all their blood. That's how he got the name Vlad the Impaler, and that's where the story of Dracula comes from, for anybody that wants to know the history of these things.
Hollywood is full of Draculas because there's so many blood parties out in, where they just, it's crazy.
They all drink blood.
I don't know about all, but there's evidence to suggest there is some weird blood stuff in Hollywood.
Well, let's put it this way. They found vials of blood on Al Gore. He had a suitcase at an airport or something, and they found vials of blood. He says, "Yeah, if I get low on my sugar or whatever, I carry these." That was, oh yeah. All right, I'm bringing these to a doctor friend. Nothing to see here.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's now, folks. I don't go in the wide world of speculative wackoness. Okay.
Right.
So I don't know if I can entertain any of the things I don't know about, like reptilians. I'm not saying there isn't. I just don't do it. I don't go into those realms. They're out there doing these wild parties and drinking blood, and they're having seances and doing satanic rituals. But there are indications that these guys are doing satanic rituals and drinking blood just by what we have facts of evidences that we found. So based on that, I'm going to say it's a possibility. I'm not going to say that they're drinking blood and out there and killing people and drinking blood, but I can say that they were found with vials of blood on them, and it doesn't show very well that any case against them. I don't know. I can't say that there's those cases against them can be invalid because they have some really sketchy things about themselves. So I will say that there is suspicions. And, we know about rituals that these guys do, the royal families. I was talking to somebody this weekend about how somebody else came out and talked about the wild stuff that goes on with politicians and stuff. And, I mean, can you imagine your Congress sitting there saying, we'd like to take a vote on so-and-so, and then the hammer goes down and they all leave from their quarters and they say, all right, we're going back to our quarters so we can legislate. No, let's get together tonight and do that satanic ritual. I'll dress in drag, and how about you? Can you imagine them doing that?
Oh, man.
But there is evidence that they do that.
Mm-hmm.
They have their little satanic rituals.
Yep. Keep in mind adrenochrome.
Yeah,
adrenochrome too.
That's another story that I don't know, but I mean, yes, there's suspicions of adrenochrome. Did you know that there's no proof that they're actually getting youthful from it? But there doesn't have to be a dispute of whether it's true or not that they can revive themselves for them to partake in the ritual. That doesn't discount that they're doing a ritual. We covered that in another podcast. That people said they said they can't be doing adrenochrome. There's no proof of it because it's not scientifically shown that it has any valuable properties to it. So why would they do it? Now you just put two things in there. You put doubt based on the fact that there's nothing they're really gaining from it, to equating that to so they're not doing the rituals. But the two don't equal out. Just because there's not a scientific value for it doesn't mean these people aren't trying to get some kind of spiritual value from it, and doesn't discount that they're doing it. They could still be doing it even though there's no true scientific proof that it does anything for them of what they're doing it for. That doesn't mean they're not doing it.
That's a good point.
So, I'm not specifically pointing fingers at any one individual, so I don't think I can get flagged at this point. I got flagged on YouTube for saying a certain thing about a certain group and naming the group and everything else. So they took that ruined my whole channel. They took all my subscribers out. They canceled my channel. So I just want to be careful, but I'm not making any personal attack accusations. I'm just saying that this stuff could be going on. All right, let's end it there. My website is jimdukeperspective.com, and share this information if you dare. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.